opened up to swallow me whole. I'm not used to the pain, it's getting out of control. But just to hear the water trickling down, down harder, heart is better, 'cause I can hear the rain. I love the rain. I love the rain. Ooh, I love the rain.
Hey everybody, this is Audrey and I have a special guest with me today.
Hello.
Who are you?
Andrew.
Can you say it louder, please?
Andrew.
How old are you?
9.
Andrew's 9. I am not 9. Andrew, tell us one interesting fact about you. Clearly so everybody can hear.
My ears can fold 5 times.
Andrew's ears can fold 5 times. He has very flexible ears, so you gonna show him real quick?
This is turning
1, 2, okay. Basically his ears just like,
4.
they're just super, yeah, he just has really cool ears.
It hurts.
But it kind of hurts. Okay, so Andrew, today we're going to be telling everybody about something really cool that you got back in January that you just recently started working on. You got it for your birthday, and what is it that you've been working on?
Let me get it.
Okay, he's going to grab it. It's a pretty neato torpedo. Ready? Here it comes. Think. Ready? What is that? Show from the other angle, it looks cool. It's a huge hydraulic mechanical hand. What makes it hydraulic? Is it you want to show them the water in it? There's water.
Okay,
inside.
so I'll just show you the thumb right now. So there's water in here,
Okay.
and whenever you push this down, the water goes into the tubes.
Okay.
And then it goes in here, presses the spring down to move this.
Oh wow,
So
this
I'll
is
show
all
you.
connected, right?
I'll show you.
And so today we're going to be talking about how the church, like Peace of Christ, our church, is kind of like this big hand. And you may be wondering, what's the church have to do with a big hand, right?
Exactly.
Nisha? So this hand is made up of lots of different parts, right, Andrew? There's springs. What other parts are part of the hand that make it work?
The screws.
The screws, the tubes, the actual finger parts, right? The plastic.
Springs.
So there's lots of parts that have to work together in order for the hand to work. And if one of the parts doesn't work, or if the person that puts the hand together makes a mistake, they would need to fix it before it could work again, right, Andrew?
Yeah.
So the church, just like Peace of Christ, our church is like this hand in that it's one unit, it's one thing, but it's made up of a lot of different parts, a lot of different people. So each of us are given gifts and talents by God. And in the Bible, we are encouraged, 1 Corinthians is one of the books that talks about this. We are encouraged to use the gifts and talents that God gives us, each person in the church, to work together so that the church can be healthy and do its job, which is to love others and to love God, right? So if one of us doesn't do our job and doesn't use the gifts and talents that God gives us, then the church might not be as healthy and work as well as it could. So that's just a reminder for all of us to pray about and think about how we can be part of the church and how we can do what we can to make it work. So what do you think? That sounds good?
Yeah.
All right, y'all have a great Sunday.
Wait.
What?
Shout out to my cousin. He helped me make this.
Oh yes, his cousin Wim helped him put the hand together, so we're very thankful for that. Y'all have a great Sunday. Bye.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. I hope all is well with everyone in your respective homes, or whether you're tuning in and listening in at a later time or day. We're gonna go ahead and jump right into the text It is a longer one from Genesis 18, verses 1 through 15. I'm going to read from the NRSV version. And it reads, "The Lord appeared to Abraham by the oaks of Mamre. As he sat at the entrance of his tent in the heat of the day, he looked up and saw 3 men standing near him. When he saw them, he ran from the tent entrance to meet them and bowed down to the ground. He said, 'My Lord, if I find favor with you, do not pass by your servant. Let a little water be brought and wash your feet and rest yourselves under the tree. Let me bring a little bread that you may refresh yourselves, and after that you may pass on, since you have come to your servant.' So they said, 'Do as you have said.' And Abraham hastened into the tent to Sarah and said, 'Make ready quickly 3 measures of choice flour, knead it, and make cakes.' Abraham ran to the herd and took a calf, tender and good, and gave it to the servant who hastened to prepare it. Then he took curds and milk and the calf that he had prepared and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree while they ate. They said to him, 'Where is your wife, Sarah?' And he said, 'There in the tent.' Then one said, 'I will surely return to you in due season, and your wife Sarah shall have a son.' And Sarah was listening at the tent entrance behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in age. It had ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of woman. So Sarah laughed to herself, saying, 'After I have grown old and my husband is old, shall I have pleasure?' The Lord said to Abraham, 'Why did Sarah laugh and say, shall I indeed bear a child now that I am old? Is anything too wonderful for the Lord? At the set time I will return to you in due season, and Sarah shall have a son.' But Sarah denied, saying, 'I did not laugh,' for she was afraid. He said, 'Oh, yes, you did.'" We hear the voice of God in these words. Thanks be to God. Okay, well, I have to start by telling you all that one of my favorite things to do when preparing a sermon is to read the surrounding texts, mostly for the sake of context. But what we see in the surrounding context of Genesis 18 is a challenging text after Genesis 18 going into chapter 19, and even before 18 going into chapter 17 and forward before then. I won't go into the full details of each of these stories because I only have 10 minutes, but needless to say, I am impressed by how Abraham responds to these travelers passing by, especially given that it is nestled in a storyline where the chapters before and after we see deeply the human experience, and I would say some of the negative aspects of our humanness in a lot of ways. In the following chapter, it's a story of Lot and his daughters in the town of Sodom to follow. And even prior to that, we hear of the unfair treatment in the story of Hagar and Ishmael coming from the family of Sarah and Abraham. But in this story, in Genesis 18, we see an overwhelming amount of hospitality on Abraham's side. Abraham takes it upon himself to be of service in such an embodied way. It becomes a communal effort to welcome these three travelers, it's almost as if he is waiting on them, or he has an eager prompting to be hospitable when they arrive. He kind of pulls out all the stops to have a meal prepared and make sure they're well rested before they continue on their journey. It has me honestly thinking of the times where I've been on the receiving end of hospitality, or those memorable moments where hospitality was lacking, but also being mindful of the times that hospitality is cultivated. And it makes me think of peace. Even with these watch parties happening now, we are in each other's homes. We are welcoming each other to be and be present in each other's spaces. Truly welcoming in and gathering alongside one another. And I also see it with the community care from the deacons, or how I've witnessed Aurelia and folks within our community care for each other so well. I can't help but think of the ways I've seen this in my own family and in our sermon series as we continue it, called Rooted: Faith Ancestors, Their Stories, and Ours. In my own family, I think about my maternal grandmother, who has passed several years ago. But even in the duration of time when she was living, clearly my aunts and uncles and mother would have more stories of what it was like living and growing up with their mother. So they describe my grandmother as often being the one who would care for folks within the family who needed assistance. And even the folks who likely would not be considered kind-hearted, she still was a caregiver to those who needed it. And I often think about my dad's side of the family, of which he grew up in a very small, historically Black town, where my dad and the family lived on acres of land in which they cultivated fruit trees and vegetables and livestock that they kept. There they would be able to create an ecosystem among themselves and the surrounding community in the 50s and 60s throughout my dad's youth, where they could care for each other when it didn't often look like the world around them cared enough or at all. These examples are such an embodied way to be nourished and care for the folks around you. And funny enough, another thing that stands out to me from the text today is a lack of embodiment in embracing pleasure and new life. First, we see it in the chapter before, where Abraham laughs when God tells him Sarah will have a child. And now we see it from Sarah. Even if you're like me and grew up in a faith context where folks put most of the blame on Sarah for laughing more than Abraham, if they even talk about Abraham laughing at all, not only is there a denial that they could have a child, but Sarah's first response is a denial of even having pleasure in old age, as if enjoyment in life also dwindles as you get older. So if you know me well, I've been cultivating a space of continued play and pleasure for myself in the last couple of years. It's been my resistance to a culture that is disconnected from being in the moment, or lives in this perpetual cycle of producing or overworking ourselves. It started with me naming the ways I simply want to have fun in a meaningful and mutually beneficial way. or asking myself, how can I make healing and interpersonal work enjoyable? It is my goal to live a more easeful, authentic, and playful life, even if that means being in contention or living in a countercultural way to access it. And of course, with Juneteenth around the corner, I think of the ancestors that have come before me that would be overjoyed to have me tap into that sense of ease, joy, and play, then exist in a way that does not cultivate life within me. And so I believe it is for all of us. Recently, I saw a quote from the Nap Ministry that I want to share with you all. If you haven't heard of the Nap Ministry or you don't follow them, I suggest that you all look it up. While this quote shares more about the experience of Black bodies in America, there's a valuable takeaway for all of us as we take a look at the society we've come from and embody greater freedom. This quote is from Tricia Hersey in her book, Rest is Resistance, a Manifesto. For Black people who are descendants of enslaved Africans via the transatlantic slave trade and chattel slavery, consider the fact that your ancestors built this entire nation for free with their stolen labor. Use this knowledge to tap into what they have already done, so you don't have to grind yourself into oblivion now. Your ancestors want to make space for your ease and rest. You must stop long enough to receive this insight in your dreams and downloads. I believe in the portal of resting. There are answers waiting for us there. End quote. While this quote from Rest is Resistance may resonate for us in different ways, it gives us all a way to tap into freedom and make sure we're continuing to create and instill it in others. So as we continue on this morning, I wish you all well in the conversations that we will have, in the questions that we will answer, in the continued community that we cultivate and create with one another. Much love and many blessings to you all.